guys, Vince here. Once again, very quickly, I'm currently defrosting my freezer in our flat. So I thought I'd do a very quick how-to guide as to how to do that. I've done some research and tried a number of techniques. So I thought I'd just show you this while I'm here doing this myself, as I'm sure I'm not the first person in the history of man to have to do this, and I thought you'd find it quite handy. Bear with me 1 second. So the first attempt I tried, and I had to say failed quite miserably with, was to use, we had a half empty bottle of cleaning product, detergent, not detergent, surface cleaner. So I tried filling that with some boiling water and spraying that on the freezer. It wasn't particularly effective, and also, as you can kind of see, it screws up the plastic as well because it's so hot. So I wouldn't recommend doing that. What I have tried though, which is proving to be much more successful, and if you'd bear with me 1 moment, I'll see if I can switch my camera around or not. Bear with me 1 second, I'll flip the camera. So as you can see, it is pretty quickly working its way through the ice. I didn't start recording this as it started, but the reason I've done this in the first place is that we need to clear up more space in our freezer. As I mentioned in my other videos, I'm going vegan for a month, so we need as much freezer space as we can. It was up to about here, just about 10 minutes ago. I started at 4:35, and as you can see, or hopefully see, it's now 10 to. So doing about 15 minutes is working pretty well. The reason I tried this is that my father and my parents, their general method of doing this is to just, or I think the generally accepted method is to just switch off the freezer and then put some towels down, which is obviously what I've done here, and then kind of leave it to its own devices. However, I've come across two other approaches which are definitely proving to be a lot more effective, and those are to use either a hairdryer, and you can see here I've borrowed my girlfriend's hairdryer, which I'm sure she's going to be very happy about, and I've also been boiling a kettle, and I've been putting the water into the top tray here. Now I'm not going to touch it because obviously it's incredibly hot. You might even be able to see the steam coming off there, and it's working a treat. So what I'm going to do is a combination of both of those. Try not to spill the water everywhere, and I'm going to put a little bit more boiling water in, which I've just made now, and then put the hairdryer on it, and then close the door with the towel inside, and leave that for about another, let's say 10 minutes. We'll check up on. So I'm trying to think if there's a way I can pour. Yeah, okay, so that's just to show you what I've been doing. What I did try initially, and I would advise against it unless you have some, at least some rubber gloves, which you can see I have here. What I did do initially was I was pouring the boiling water into a glass, just standard everyday glass, you can see here, and I was chucking that onto the ice itself. But I wouldn't advise doing that unless you at least have some rubber gloves. Obviously the water is incredibly hot and you will burn yourself, and it will be incredibly painful. So with the amount that I have left here, I mean, you can kind of see here, yeah, you can kind of see it's going away pretty quickly. I would say within 30 minutes or so we should be pretty much done here with a bit of luck, fingers crossed. So let's put a bit more boiling water on, and I'll put on the hairdryer just for a minute. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, but just to demonstrate what I'm doing here, and then we can see what the end result is, hopefully pretty soon. So okay, cool. Obviously be very careful when doing this, when having live electrical equipment near water. You don't want to electrocute yourself or anything like that. But here it's pretty simple. So just put the hairdryer onto the ice, and there you can see right there. Hopefully that's coming up on the camera. There you go. You can see the ice coming off as I'm on it. So I'll be honest with you, I'm not quite patient enough to sit here and put a hairdryer on this for 20 minutes, and I don't think I'll need to. But you can see that's pretty effective. So I'm going to try the second recommended approach, which is to put the boiling water in with the freezer and then close it, and to basically leave it to its own devices. There are also different ways of doing this. Some people have said that you can do this without switching the freezer off. This is a fridge freezer, by the way, just in case you haven't figured that out already. I'm personally going to be a little bit more cautious and not do that, because it doesn't seem to be a particularly clever idea to have something switched on and have tons of water rushing around it if it's not designed to be that way. So, so there it is. As I say, it's 4:53 right now. We'll leave it alone for 10 minutes, and I'll do a quick checkup with it in its current state. And I estimate that we'll be pretty much there with this, and it should be done, or at least nearly done. So let's do that. We'll check back in 10 minutes, and we'll see where we are. Okay, guys, it's 10 minutes later as promised. So so let's check out how we're getting on with this defrosting. Okay. So yeah, I can feel there it's still pretty hard. It's cooled down quite a lot. Obviously, it's not quite there yet. Let me just feel that. Yeah, so I reckon at this rate, hopefully you can see back there, there's I think, depending on how much attention I pay to it and how much I try and push this will probably take something in the region of half an hour to an hour. You can see the majority of the ice has now gone. It is obviously just going to be a question of time as to how long it takes. I was optimistically hoping it would take something in the region of half an hour to an hour initially. I think that might be a little bit ambitious. An hour could definitely be possible, particularly if I use the hairdryer on it a little bit more. But you can see this is definitely a much more effective approach than say the approach that my parents used to do, which is to just switch the freezer off and wait for it to defrost itself, which can take anything up to, I'd say, 6 to 8 hours. So if you just don't have that time, obviously that's not an option, and it's not a particularly great option regardless. So I'm going to leave this for another half an hour. I'm going to have a go with the hairdryer on it a little bit more, probably put a bit more boiling water in, and then I'll come back to you, or we'll report back in about 30 minutes, so 5:34. Okay, cool, see you then. Hey guys, Vince here. So we're back, and it is now officially about half an hour past our last recording, so let's see where we're up to. So since we last recorded, oh my god, there's a lot of water going everywhere. Bear with me one moment. It's starting to look like Atlantis here in my flat. So yeah, so you can see here we're pretty much done. So you can see it's like 90% there. I think it's going to take another little while before we're 100% done. But to be honest, it was pretty bad before I started. I mean, the ice was literally down to here. You could barely even fit, I think, apart from this little bit here, you literally couldn't even fit a small ice cube tray into this. So from that to this in an hour is pretty good going. I will probably put a picture up once it's finally done. The only other major 2 bits of advice I would say to avoid doing for safety reasons is obviously make sure everything's kept dry and switched off so there's no electrical issues, and also don't scratch anything off, certainly with anything sharp. So obviously it's tempting to try and just scratch, for example in my case, let's see if I can get a closer look, to scratch off these last few bits here, but the danger is that you'll damage the tray or the walls of the freezer itself. And the reason that's such a bad idea, well, obviously there's a number of reasons. The first of which is that you could damage the freezer itself and break it, which obviously you don't want to do. Secondly, there are a number of chemicals and things which make the freezer work in the way that it does, and if those were to leak or to be compromised in some way, that can then cause the freezer to leak those gases anywhere, potentially into your home or even onto your food, and that could have some very bad side effects. You will also, of course, void the warranty on your freezer, so definitely don't do that. There's no need to, and as you can see here, the results are pretty good, so you shouldn't really have to. So I hope this was useful for you guys. As I say, I will put a final picture up, and thanks for joining us. Don't forget to check out some of my other stuff. If you like video games, movies, TV reviews, things of that nature, then definitely check out some of my other stuff. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, and we'll see you again next time. Cheers.